dines sumptuously, eat thy crust, let love be thy guide, and justice be thy God.
Thank you, Lauren. Very inspirational. Appreciate that. All right, we are going to have a few announcements. So I'd like to invite David Cray to come on up and announce a few of our activities that are coming up this week.
We have lots of volunteer opportunities. Rsvl School is doing well. We have people signed up through May now. People signed up last weeks, couple of weeks. I appreciate that. We do have one thing coming up this Saturday, and that is food drive. There's a huge food drive with Salvation Army this Saturday. Yeah, Scott's here. So we have, I think, about 6 or 7 people signed up now. So if anybody else wants to sign up today. And from 9:30 to noon, and we meet at the Roseville Salvation Army here by the post office, and we park by the back of the Salvation Army near the post office, and we just are going to unload and sort food for an hour and a half, couple hours, I guess. And then the other thing we got going on is Snelling Avenue Road Cleanup is going to be May 7th. We do that twice a year, so that's all right. We're scheduled, and if you're interested in that, sign up on our Sign Up Genius, or just show up there. That's okay too. We'll take your available last second. Come on over. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Lots of great activities for us all to participate in. All right, so we have a couple minutes. We'll go ahead and do some happy dollars today. And I will start. I have 2 things right off the bat. I had the opportunity to go on vacation with my family down to Palm Springs. And on Thursday that we were there, the family was all sitting by the pool. And who happens to walk by, but I say, Julie, Kevin. And so from our club, here I am at Hotel Margaritaville, having my margarita, and there are Lynn and Kevin. So it was just hilarious and fun. So have some happy dollars for that. And then also I had my children's 9th birthday on Friday, and I just can't even believe they're already 9 years old. So I'm happy that they're still loving life. Our birthday theme was Mandalorian and Mermaid. Put that one together. All right, does anybody else have a happy dollar? Lauren.
Here's one because I had 2 grandchildren that were in Mexico, and they both had sea car and all kinds of streaming things on the audio.
Thank you. Anyone else? Scott. Okay.
So my daughter, Brianna Cook, works for Rotary International as a social media marketing person, and she was able to go with the team with Rotary International to the UN this last weekend and represent Rotary there. So it was kind of a unique experience for her and exciting for us to see her in that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Anyone else from here? Otherwise, do you have anybody online?
We actually don't. I have a $20 bill. I have a $20 bill I'm putting in to just remind, because I have to buy time to remind you to share the love. And it is the month where we are going to double your donation if you join, if you throw some money at the Rotary International Foundation. And especially if you throw it at the Polio Plus part of it, because that's the part we still need to fill out for our goals for this year, because we want to make our president proud.
I'll take the mic. He tried to hand me the cup of money. I don't do that right now. Okay, anybody online? Can't tell if there's anything. No. Okay, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. As Jan said, we are getting really close to the Polio Plus goal, and we have, I did see on the last round that we have actually met our foundation goal. So thank you so much for everybody who has so generously contributed to that. It's very exciting. All right, well, Jan, don't get too comfortable. I'm gonna invite you back up so you can introduce our speaker for today. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll stand where you can see me, and I have to go back a little bit because I'm a little taller than the previous speaker. I don't want to say anything more than that.
Yeah.
I have introductions here for Ted Hagan, Tim O'Brien, and Betsy Gadadas Garcia, and I hope I said those names right. It's about 3 pages long on my phone, and I would rather have them have their time, but let me just say they all work at the Untitled Community Center in the adult high school area. Tim O'Brien is an old friend of mine. Of course, all my friends are old, so that doesn't matter. But they are going to talk to us about what the adult high school is doing, and also about maybe a special project that's going to occur there as well. And I thank them for taking the time to do this. They are staying there because they are with kids right now, and if they had to take time to come over here and eat with us, that would be time away from the kids. And they actually wanted to do that. And I love any educator that's so dedicated to that way. Thank you, and take it away.
Thank you, Jan. I hope you guys can hear us well.
Yes.
Thanks for inviting us to be here today. We'll share our presentation with you shortly. But yeah, we are here at Bilingual today. We had students, so we appreciate the time to sit down and share with you a little bit about our programs and what we do over here. I think I find more often than not that when people hear about the work we do, they're amazed. They're like, "You guys do that?" But people just don't really often know about us. So I'll start our presentation and we'll get going. So as you said, we are the Roseville Adult Learning Center. We serve students, adult learners, 17 plus. And I'm Tad Hagan. I'm the supervisor of the program. I've been in education for over 20 years. My 3rd year here in Roseville, and picture up there is of me and my family, which I value family. I value lifelong learning, and I value the power of community. With me today.
Hello, thanks for having us. My name is Betsy Gadadas Garcia, and I'm manager of English language learning here. And I have 20 and more years in education. It's my 10th year here in Roseville. This picture, this is a kind of an old picture, but these are my kids and me. And yeah, I really value family and community outreach and involvement. And I believe in adult education as a path to educational equity and getting livable wage jobs. And O'Brien is with us as well.
Hi, it's good to see you all. Thanks for the introduction, Jan. I am old, like Jan. So I've been with the program for about 13 years. I've done Tad's job and done some other jobs around. I've been a principal and done a few things like that. But my main goal is work as an educator, and I'm pretty dedicated to our adult students. I love the work that I do. So part of what we do here is we help people to figure out how systems work in the US. But another part of what we do is we help people to figure out how to work specific systems like getting jobs, getting living wage jobs. And I am currently deeply involved in a program to help adults get into the skilled trades and specifically apprenticeships so that they can get paid family sustaining wages and also get a skilled trade. So it's a work and learn and get paid and learn kind of system. Thanks.
All right. right, well, we, in our profession, as with so many others, we have, a lot of acronyms and specialized vocabulary, so. First is RALC, is Roseville Adult Learning Center, so our acronym is RALC, acronym, excuse me. ABE, we often refer to ABE, that's Adult Basic Education. ELL, English Language Learner. And AMR is the program Kim just referred to, Apprentice and Manufacturing Ready. GED test is a General Educational Development Test. And we have beginning, intermediate, and academic. Those are the levels of our instruction, specifically with the English Language Learner program, and those are all based on, primarily based on reading level. US born are adult learners born in the United States, and we do serve US born as well. Our funding model is based on contact hours, and it's factored a little bit differently than K-12 because we are only paid for the amount of time where a student is sitting in a chair. So it's, we call it seat time. So contact hours it's the amount of seat time that students are with us.
That last one is important because as you look at our numbers, we've shared with you in the left side column is what our numbers were 2018, 2019. We were up around 650 students in our program. And then now post-pandemic, we are down to 269 students. But through the hard work of our team, we are growing that number back up very, very slowly each month. But in terms of funding and in terms of just how our programming works, I wanted to just share with you how our numbers work, but then also looking at the age levels of students that we serve. And so our biggest demographic is 25 to 44-year-olds, represent a lot of the students that we have here at Roseville Adult Learning Center.
If you break it down by ethnicity and I guess continent of origin, we've got students from all over the world, basically. But what I wanted to show you in this particular demographic is that if you add up the number of, oh, I'm sorry, that's the next one, sorry.
Oh, we can go back to the first one though.
Go ahead.
It's important to with this slide, it's important to look at, so when it says Asian, many of our students are Hmong refugees and refugees from Myanmar that are from a couple different ethnic groups, including Karen. We also have quite a number of Chinese and Vietnamese, a handful of other nationalities, Cambodian, Black or African American. That includes people from all over the continent of Africa. We certainly have more people from East Africa than any other region of Africa, but that also includes US born students as well. So I think that's the main details about that slide.
So if in this slide, if you sort of add up the education levels, so people who've been through grades 1 through 5, people who've been through grades 6 through 8, people who've been through grades 9 through 12, and those that say they've never been in school, if you add all those up, about 60% of our students do not have a high school diploma or education from anywhere in the world. And the other 40%, probably most of those folks have high school equivalency from another country, or they have some post-secondary, they went to college, or they went into a teacher education program or something like that.
Some other info, 69% of our students are female. Our students come from over 40 different countries, and only 9.3% of our students are US born. 63% of our students are on public assistance. And then another big part of it is that 27.5% of our students are not in the labor force, meaning they aren't currently working. So a lot of our students are moms who are coming in here to get an education while their students are at school or their partner is working. So we have a lot of fluctuation and fluidity with our students in terms of when they're here, when they have to go take care of family, etc. So flexibility is huge in terms of one of our values. And then finally, 28% of our students have children in the Roseville School District. So you see that close to, what is it, almost 70% come, either don't have students in our school district or they come from outside of our boundaries. So we are a well-known program that word of mouth spreads and really builds up a lot of the marketing that we do. Now, Betsy, I'll tell you about our English language learner program.
So with all of our programming, but especially our English language learner program, we really do our best. We strive to respond to community needs. And those needs change over time. They change quite a bit with the economy and with the kinds of jobs that are available. They also change with immigration patterns and whether or not we're getting many resettlements. State of Minnesota also gets a lot of secondary migration of refugees and immigrants from other states. So those are factors that impact our enrollment and who we see coming in. And within that, then we organize our class levels based on the enrollment at the various skill levels. We have been up to 12 different levels of English. At this point, I think we have 9 levels of English every day. And those are with our morning sessions from 9 to 1. And those levels range from pre-literate and with people who never learned to read and write as children. Sometimes that was due to learning disabilities, or maybe it's complicated along with that as well. But so it starts with pre-literate and goes up through our adult diploma program. And generally a lot of our graduates come from the English language learner program and have slowly worked their way up to eventually get a diploma. And it's also very important to us that we are educating future parents. When many of them, I would say probably at least 75% of our students have children, or they will very soon. And in other words, many of them want to. So as we're educating, we also work on teaching about navigating educational systems and looking at how they can support their children.
Yeah, especially with that, the data shows that if a student's not reading by 3rd grade, the options to them, are few and limited. So having parents that can support students at home is important.
Here we go. So a little bit more details. So it says 8 levels of English language instruction in the diploma, as I mentioned. Our main classes are from 9 to 1. We have additional classes in the afternoons. And because of where our enrollment is right now, we are exploring, trying out some other options for afternoon classes and evening classes. And again, trying to respond to what the community needs are, especially because many people are working right now during the day. We have worked very hard over the years at incorporating digital literacy into all levels of our instruction. And as I mentioned, not just with our pre-literate learners, but many of the students who find themselves still needing skill support may have missed out on educational opportunities because of learning disabilities that weren't diagnosed. And frequently that, they're coming from other parts of the world where, those systems weren't in place or aren't in place. So, so throughout all of the levels of our instruction, we really work to problem solve around individual students' needs and challenges, and what are the reasons that people still end up struggling with skills. So we're very dedicated to that. And citizenship classes are also part of what we what we work to support, because many of our students are on the path toward becoming citizens. And then our career pathways and partnerships. So we have a number of different career pathways, and many of them are through our partnership with the Karen organization of Minnesota. And Tim O'Brien can tell you a little bit more about that, because he was instrumental in developing that partnership. One of our strong programs we're very proud of is translating and interpreting, and that's been something through Department of Economic Employment and Economic Development grants, and it's also a partnership with Century College. So we help people get through a 40-hour community interpreter certificate program, and then those who successfully pass that have the option of going on and completing a 9-credit program with Century College. And they're given both the supports as far as some tuition assistance through the grant, otherwise help navigating the financial aid system at the college level. We also, over the years, have worked on training people for the CNA test. And as we've mentioned, the apprentice and manufacturing ready, which Tim will speak more about. And we also this year, we look forward to having cohorts doing both soldering and warehouse training, so that they learn the skill set needed to get a job working warehouse.
Sure. Our relationship with the Karen organization of Minnesota has been around for about 10 or 11 years now, and we've been working with them since the very beginning. We partner on 5 P2P grants with them. 4 of them are KOM grants, and one of them is a Roseville grant. Our grant is the Apprentice and Manufacturing Ready. Just to say a little bit more about translating and interpreting that TRIN program, we provide a teacher that provides complete support in getting the students through those first 9 credits, 9 college credits. It's a huge project, and we've had a great deal of success with it. The Certified Nursing Assistant program, we found that there were a lot of students that were able to pass the practical part of the nursing assistant program, but were not able to pass a test, a written test. So we put together a grant proposal to DEED under their Pathways to Prosperity, that's P2P, Pathways to Prosperity grant program, which some of you may have heard of fast track grants. Those were the P2P grants are now the new version of the old fast track grants. And what we did was we put together a program for people that had taken CNA classes, and we took a year of working with them in the evenings, trying to get them ready for this academic-oriented state test for CNA, and it's been a really successful program. Our AMR program, we are on our 4th cohort of AMR, and it's a great program. We usually have between 8 and 14 students in a cohort, and it's an 8-month-long program. And if they're at a certain level in reading, and we can boost them up, they can get a high school diploma in that amount of time. We work on what's called a competency-based diploma, and we work on the skills that'll get them ready to become an apprentice, and those are the focus. So our science credits are related to green technology and photovoltaics and basic electricity. And our social studies is focused on civics and engagement down at the Capitol. So it's really quite, currently relevant stuff. So anyway, it's a great program. We often get as many as 8 or 10 people through the diploma program, and then we get them right into jobs if they're ready for it. And it's a big bridge to get people into employment in the skilled trades. And so we have a full-time navigator who helps with the employment piece. And it's really a big deal because sometimes it takes us up to about 2 years to get someone a fit in the skilled trades. So it isn't just something where they graduate and then they go right into openings. It's hard to get employers to take the lead with these students, but we've got a bunch of pioneers in the trades now, and they are opening the doors for the people that are following them. So it's been a really successful program, but it's a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, and before we move on, I also just wanted to, like at the bottom there, our new partnership, we just started with Vitalpath, which is a medical supply company here in Roseville, located over by the Byerlys. And on Fridays, Betsy heads over there for 4 hours to work with their employees on increasing their literacy and English speaking skills. So really a great group of folks. And really, we're looking for even more. Like our answer to pretty much any question is yes. Like, how are we going to do it? Yes. So we figure it out. We're pretty responsive. So if there's anybody out there, any businesses that in terms of building people's literacy skills as a focus, we're definitely willing and able, and the answer most of the time will be yes. So we're happy to be involved. Moving on from English language learners is our adult diploma and GED prep. So we serve, like I said, 9.3% of our students are US born. Right now, our numbers are pretty fluid in that as well. It's serving students who have not completed their high school journey. If a student comes to us, we give them a test to determine what their literacy level is. And then we evaluate their transcript to see how many credits they have per the Roseville area schools requirements. And then the students start in an independent study model where they're working with a teacher one-on-one, develop or working on their curriculum. And then also 1 day a week or 1 hour a night, they are also in a classroom model. So you can see our numbers there on the right. 2018, we've had 89 students that graduated. And then currently over the last 2 years, about that combined. So current year right now, we have, this is just students who were in our program, 89, and we've dropped to 41. So we've seen a 50% reduction in the number of ABE students we've served who are US born. So you see the impact the pandemic has had on our program. I didn't fill the numbers in for how many we graduated, missed that part, but definitely been scarce the last couple of years. GED is the other piece of this, GED prep. We currently don't do a lot of GED prep. When a lot of students come to us and they're looking for GED prep and they hear about this diploma program we have, we're one of the only programs around that offers an adult diploma. And so instead of working through the GED process, which is a student has to take 4 tests, math, science, reading, social studies, and the preparation for it is difficult, the test is difficult, and there's a cost incurred to it. When they start working with our teachers, they really gravitate towards, well, I can get my diploma versus a GED, which is, is great. But they really like being able to have that ability to show, hey, I graduated from a Roseville area school. So that's what we do.
Yeah, some people do come back even after taking a GED and get a diploma. I mean, it happens once in a while. But the GED is it's a great opportunity for people that can pass the test. But if you can't pass the test, if you're not passing the math test and you're not even close, and or you have a lot of trouble with reading because it's a timed reading test. So there are a lot of impediments for a lot of people, particularly foreign-born folks, particularly in taking the GED. So having an opportunity to do an adult diploma is a huge benefit to people in the community.
Last piece I'll explain to you is our career pathway work. And Tim's going to cover a lot of our trade, our manufacturing and ready program, but one thing that we've kind of grown in the last few years is our information and technology. And Betsy spoke about digital literacy being important. We found that even some of our hourly jobs that our students have been applying for, digital literacy, the ability to use an iPad, the ability to manage systems within work digitally has been a barrier for some folks. So we started building within our lower levels a digital literacy kind of plan through a program called North Star, which has students pass kind of competencies, pass levels to demonstrate their digital literacy. And then we also folded in for our students who are at a higher level, a Microsoft Office Specialist certification. So we have a teacher here who's amazing, who works with our students one time a month, all the students in the program, working through different skills, and then working to help teachers embed digital literacy within their classrooms at all times. And we've already had 2 or 3 students who have passed our Microsoft Office Specialist, with the hopes that we can build in CompTIA Plus, help desk, coding, just a variety of things we want to offer down the road. And right now, we just are trying to organically grow it through our program. We also have different district partnerships that are important. We have a boiler license preparation that we do that's responsive to when the district needs it. We've also done paraprofessional work in the past, helping some of our paras in our district learn the soft skills of working with students, both who are possibly have special needs or other. And then we also have done ServSafe, which is prepping for working in a kitchen, just the safety piece of it all. And we're actually in conversations to try to grow that into an actual culinary pathway as well. So we also have an advanced skills class here, where our students, when they graduate, we've seen data that shows that they might graduate, but they're also at a 10th or 11th grade reading level. And in terms of making that next jump to college, it's going to cost them money in a lot of developmental ed courses. So we've built an advanced course to try to have students come back and learn from us further, so that when they finally are ready to go to college, that cost isn't there for them. So we've also done things like entrepreneurship, communications, just a variety of things. And you guys can speak to more to what we've done in the past, but like I said, we're very responsive in what we try to offer our students, so that they can, like Tim said, get into a career as fast as possible, and as prepared as possible.
We did several years, we did a small business class, and we got SCORE to come in, which is retired business executives and lawyers and such coming in and helping our students to develop business plans and work on the paperwork with the state to start businesses. So we've done that when we've had enough call for it.
Yeah, we offer a yoga class too. Students take yoga, and so we're pretty well rounded here. All right.
So the Apprentice and Manufacturing Ready program was an idea that we wanted to get non-traditional folks who we knew could do the work. This isn't like trying to get people that can't do the work into the trades. These are people who would be great employees in the trades and want to work hands-on. And what we thought was, we'll try to help build a new doorway into the trades. So we build relationships with employers who hire our folks. And as we get successful, people who are successful in their job with those employers, they start to look to us to get more when they need more workers. So part of what we can do is we can help with recruitment. We can help with retention, because our students have shown tremendous commitment, coming to school every day in the morning. Most of them work second shift jobs as well. So they come in and do 4 hours worth of work with us every day, right before they go to work. So it's a big commitment, and they've looked into the trades that they want to go into very deeply. We've gone to training centers. gone to visit job sites. We looked into the trades. They know which trades they want to get into and what they want to pursue. So it's a great kind of a new doorway, a new way of doing this. And then sometimes we'll even connect our students with the pre-apprenticeship programs that are put out by the Department of Labor and Industry grants through the training center. So the cement masons do a pre-apprenticeship and the carpenters do a pre-apprenticeship, and we'll get our folks right into those pre-apprenticeships so that they can get in front of employers. Yeah, so thinking about outcomes, we've slowly but surely probably gotten more than a dozen people into the skilled trades over our 4 cohorts. Some people just aren't quite ready for the intensity of work, and other people, it's just not the right time for their family. They can't take a break. Some of the people are buying a house and they can't break the employment stream and those kinds of things. So, and like I said, it can take up to 2 years to get somebody who's really ready, who could really do it, into a job that fits and works for them. One thing that I wanted to talk to the Rotary about, and I've kind of ran this by Jan a couple years ago, and he suggested maybe we do a presentation, and we could do this more. One of the things that we do in Apprentice and Manufacturing Ready is we do a lot of different hands-on projects. The students learn to build stairs, they learn to frame common rafters, and we actually build a house, we install windows, we roof it. So we do a lot of this construction stuff, and then I basically take it apart and salvage what I can, and then we rebuild a smaller house next time, and a little bit, you know, we take the nailed out parts, and you know, we make them a little bit shorter. But what we'd really like to do is we'd really like to do a finished product, something that would be useful, that we could put together and go through, maybe not just structural stuff, but maybe some plumbing, electrical, those kinds of things, and actually build a little tiny house. So this idea came about because some of the faith-based communities in Roseville, some of the churches, were interested in seeing if they could house unhoused people. So people that have been maybe become homeless for one reason or another, to try to help them find some temporary housing. And these tiny houses were an idea. And I know that the city of Roseville has code issues, and there's some challenges with it, but there are other parts of the Twin Cities that are actually taking these tiny houses and working with people who have land and trying to create some intentional communities around this. So we'd still love to pursue the idea of building a tiny house. I think that the trailers are a big amount of money there. That's probably about $8,000 of the tiny houses built into a Minnesota Department of Transportation approved trailer, and then there would be the building materials. But we'd love to pursue that. If anybody at the Rotary is interested, we'd love to talk more about that. There are a couple of nonprofits that have developed relationships with Ramsey County's forfeited home program, and Goodwill Easter Seals is one. Gap School, which changed their name to I can't remember. Change.org, that's it. Yeah. So Gap School, which is now Change.org, has done some work for Ramsey County. And we were invited last year to talk to them and open up discussions about becoming part of their master contract. And then we could bid on doing windows or flooring or sheetrock or some different parts of of their house renovations for the few houses that they renovate to sell. So that's an upcoming, really exciting thing. So we can do some hands-on stuff that will last. That's kind of our goal.
So in conclusion, and Tim, Betsy, you guys can add on if you want. We just really want to just talk about show you guys how broad the programming is that we provide, and that we're always looking for ways to serve our community, to further our mission of literacy for adults, our mission of lifelong learning, and that we're just always looking for building relationships with new entities or people to provide the best opportunities for our students. So I put our contact information there. I'll share this with Kathy and with Jan. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please reach out to us. If there's anything else you guys want to add, let me know.
Any questions right now?
Well, we do have a few questions. First, before we get to those, I just want to say thank you so much. I was super inspired by your commitment to listening to the community and finding answers to what they need. So I love your mantra of always say yes. That's amazing. And we do recognize all of our speakers with contributions to the Rotary Woods and Rain Garden in Central Park. So we'll be doing that on your behalf as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, we do have a couple of questions here. I'm gonna pass around the mic just a second. Jan, we'll start with you.
I already talked too much, but I did want to ask one question. Could you clarify for our Rotarians, what's kind of the funding structure for the ABE and other ELL programs?
Yeah, so our funding comes from a variety of different places. At the federal level, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act is where we get our funding passed down. That goes from the federal government to the state, and then from the state level to consortium, which is us, North St. Paul, Maplewood, Oakdale, Mounds View, Stillwater, Forest Lake, St. Croix Educational Development Area, just a large group. And then that money is allocated out based upon federal dollars, which is about 88 cents an hour we get. And then there's some population data in terms of diplomas or LEP, which is, I forget, it's basically
Limited English.
limited English. So it's the number of EL students you have in a district. And then our biggest one is contact hours, which is it fluctuates between $7 to $8 an hour we get per student per the time that they're here.
It's been as low as $5 an hour too. And then of course we write for grants as well. So we get some other grant money. So the state funding is a grant from the state, but we only have to apply for that every 5 years. And then we just sort of automatically get it based on our contact hours. So when we talk about having half the contact hours, that's about, so the state funding is about 70% of our budget. So you can imagine that's about 35% of our budget that we're struggling to remake now. So
Thankfully, over the last 2 years, the state of Minnesota has had the foresight to hold us harmless because of the pandemic, and to provide that funding and just really urge us to push our programming to its limit, to look at capacity, to see how we can meet students where they're at. How can we infuse technology? How can we infuse other ways to meet students so that they can still get their programming, even though in person was difficult, if not doable. So now that that time period is over with, we are faced with the challenge of how do we rebuild that number of students, because in those 2 years, we haven't cut back on teachers. We haven't cut back on anything we're willing to offer. So right now, we have people raring to go. It's like, we just want we need some more students.
I have a question for you, and that's a good segue into it. I was wondering where you find the students, or how you're trying to reach out to people in various kinds of ways, and then what sort of capacity you've got, for how many students.
So if I heard that correctly, you're asking, how do we market and get students now? Where are we looking? And then 2 is, what is our capacity? So I'll let you guys handle yeah.
Well, so, as it came up earlier, word of mouth has been a huge part of how we just have gotten to where we are now. And because of honestly, our diploma program is a huge draw. So people will come to us looking for that. Now, what we're doing right now is working more with the school district to reach out to parents of children who are either English language learners or where the parents have their own educational need. So that is something, it's a newer initiative that we're working on this year, just to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the families in our school district, in addition to bringing in bringing in additional students. And then, we more recently we have a new person for marketing and outreach through community education. So we're in the process of exploring how we can we have promotional materials available, but it is a matter of how to get it to the right communities.
And also in the past, we have had a lot of refugees. So our specific program, because we have a very strong beginning level classes, and we've had up to 13 levels of English, and leveled English learning is really powerful. If you can get people who are at sort of the same reading level working together, as opposed to having it too big of a reading disparity between people, it can really speed up their learning. So we've had a lot of success bringing in new refugees into our program.
And so naturally that has been challenged by the reduced number of refugees resettled in the state of Minnesota.
Over the past 5 years.
Thanks for that question. I'm going to take a question or 2 online. Galen, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, thank you for providing education for the adults in the neighborhood. One of my questions is, are all the classes taught in English only, or are there bilingual instructors in your program?
Well, we have a few bilingual instructors. And actually up until 2 years ago, it was policy to only deliver classes in English. So we had not been doing bilingual programming. This spring, we're starting 1 day a week, bilingual English and Spanish. English and Spanish basic grammar class. And that's also out of our attempt to respond to community needs, because it has turned out that there are some different needs among Spanish speakers and some of our other community groups. So, yep, and language groups. So we're experimenting with that.
Great, thank you. I'll take one more question online, and then we've got another one here. So David, go ahead.
Your comment and a question. The comment is your tiny house on wheels kind of reminds me of Garrison Keeler's Lake Wobegon Bank that was on wheels, so it could make a quick getaway, I guess. And I guess I have an actual question on that. A tiny house on a trailer kind of seems like people that would sleep in their car. I mean, it looks more like a house, but I wonder how the ordinances might be about parking those on a street or something. My main question is, do you guys ever work with Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, over the course of many years, we've worked on and off with Habitat. And so sometimes it's hard to work as a class with Habitat, but we continue to have open dialogue with them and keep working with them. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Mary Jo McGuire, Ramsey County Commissioner. So I was online and now I got to person. So it was great to hear your presentation. I'm so excited to hear that you're working with Ramsey County. We definitely want to be partners. It was going to be one of my questions until you went further in your presentation. And we are excited about the tiny homes as well, because we have, such a huge population of people experiencing homelessness. And so we're looking at any options we can have for affordable housing. So just wanted to say thank you so much for your work and for partnering with Ramsey County. I have a number of questions, but I know we don't have time for all of them. But when you do the diploma program, do you get school funding for those people then? I mean, is that part of the funding formula from, like with with school districts, they get per pupil unit funding from the state. So does that work when you have someone in the diploma program? Just curious. I didn't think there was an age limit on that.
No, we do not get school funding for our students. Our funding model, like we said, is based upon contact time. And the school funding model is based upon ADM, which is average daily membership. And so where we differ is if a school has a student on their roster for 15 days, they get the funding for that student. Whereas if we don't have a student show up for 15 days, we get $0 for that. So in terms of our diplomas, it really is the contact time that goes into that student being there is how we are funded and the ratios that we need to make our program break even.
We do a little bit of credit recovery for the high school, and so there is some Mars reporting on some of the credits that we do, and so we do get a little ADM money, but it's a very small
Thank you. We've got one more question here.
Okay, I came a little late, but my name is Joy Ngobi. I'm Gideon's wife. I used to be a Rotarian for the last 15 years until we moved here. So I'm from the Janesville Club, and I haven't legally signed in here. But I try to come whenever my life allows. Honestly, I don't have a question, but more of a reflection. First of all, I'm thinking when you showed us the numbers, like, the people from Asia coming from Vietnam, I'm just thinking about the impact of war. I mean, decades down the line, people are still refugees. And my heart breaks at those things. And of course, going back home to homeland, to a lot of people coming from East Africa, and I'm just thinking, even just Africa, I'm thinking the biggest problem we have, I think, is leadership. It's not so much a question for you, but I mean, these are repercussions of lack of leadership at global levels. And I think Rotary does a lot trying to push for these things, but I think as Rotarians, we have to ask more and more these tougher questions. I mean, this is really, for me, in my own country, just a lack of leadership at national level and just lack of commitment. And that's why 30 years we are still suffering and, people are leaving their homes. It just breaks my heart. And I do know that Rotary has a lot of power, even at all these global meetings you do. I mean, we have someone working at the foundation. I think as Rotarians, we must ask these tough questions because it's just breaks me.
Well said. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to throw Joy up another bone here because she happens to be our speaker, Dr. Joy Ngobi, our speaker next week. So if you want to just jump up here quickly and give us a highlight about what it's going to be, that would be great.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is totally good. I'm glad I showed up even if Gideon couldn't. So next week we lived in Janesville, Wisconsin for about 20 years. So while there, my biggest passion had been to start a library in my country because I come from the countryside and we don't have libraries. And I happened to lose my sister. Her name was Rebecca. She was a doctor and she died from Lou Gehrig's when she was 36 years old. But she had been a big reader. Like my parents took us to boarding schools. So we had learned how to read. She was 2 years older than me. So when she died, I was like suffering with a lot of depression. I was at the University of Minnesota. So I got this idea to just go home in the village and build a library. Well, I couldn't get any funding for it and I hadn't discovered Rotarians. My church decided to come with me, but they said we don't build libraries, we build churches. So they went and built a church, but as we were there, we saw 200 children that don't go to school, they were just on the streets. When they see white people, those who have been to Africa, you understand what I'm talking about? They run to you because there is food, there is hope. So we started an organization about 20 years ago. It's called the Hope Institute of Uganda. And that's the journey we've been on, Gideon and I, and a lot of people from Janesville and Janesville Rotary Club. So we'll be sharing with you what our journey has been. And our move down here was to try and expand that and grow that. I have this vision. I used to come, I went to the University of Minnesota. So every year we came to the Twin Cities, I would go walk on the university grounds asking God to give us this university in Africa so we can transform this continent. And I think it can be done, but it takes a lot of help, a lot of mentoring, and a lot of things. But I think as Africans, we must ask ourselves these questions, why not? So that's why we'll be telling you what we are doing and where we are up to right now. We offer scholarships, healthcare, leadership training, and business. That's what we've been doing. I think it's going to be fun.
Thank you for that wonderful highlight. We look forward to hearing the rest of the details next week. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us either online or in person. We are adjourned.